My grandfather's hand trembled as he passed the envelope beneath the tablecloth. The noise of cutlery and laughter filled the room, masking the quiet scrape of paper against porcelain. "Don't open this here," he whispered. His voice was barely breath, a ghost between breaths. "Go home, pack a bag." Then he leaned closer, his eyes, once the color of calm storms, locked onto mine. "They're watching you. You have 24 hours. I didn't blink. I'd seen the tremor in his hand before, but never the fear. Not from him, not from the man who built empires out of silence and secrets. The rest of the table carried on, my mother's polite laughter, my wife's practiced smile, my father's drunken charm. Ordinary noise, but I couldn't unhear it. "They're watching you." When I finally looked up, my wife's gaze met mine for a fraction too long. A measured glance, too steady, too composed. The room felt smaller, air thicker. I slid the envelope into my jacket pocket, hiding it with the precision of someone who'd been taught never to show their hand too soon. For the next 30 minutes, I played my part. Ate, smiled, nodded, pretended not to feel my heartbeat echo in my throat. But beneath the polite conversation, my mind was moving, tracing patterns, connecting threads, remembering fragments of the last few months. The late-night messages, the locked screens, the phone turned face down. Something was already watching me. He just confirmed it. When I got home, I didn't turn on the lights. The house felt staged. Every photograph perfectly aligned, every cushion in place. My wife's perfume hung in the air like a warning. I sat in the dark, envelope in hand, until the clock struck midnight. Then, with deliberate slowness, I tore it open. Inside, a single flash drive. No note, no instructions, just silence wrapped in plastic. I plugged it into my laptop. A folder appeared. Truth_01. The first video played automatically. Footage from a security camera. The kitchen. My kitchen. The date stamp, 3 weeks ago. In the grainy frame, I saw my wife. And my father. Not talking, not fighting. Touching. I froze. My pulse didn't. It's strange how your mind tries to save you. It tells you you're mistaken. It finds excuses. Lighting, angles, context, anything to delay the collapse. But then her voice broke through the static. Low, familiar. "He'll never find out." And my father's reply, almost casual. "He's too much like me." The video ended. I stared at the screen long after it went black, waiting for the world to make sense again. It didn't. When she came home an hour later, I pretended to be asleep. She kissed my cheek, soft, habitual, meaningless. I almost asked her if she slept well that night, but instead, I waited. Because now, I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for patterns. Over the next few days, I moved quietly. Every morning, I woke before her, checked her phone, locked, her messages, deleted, her scent, foreign. I mirrored her calmness, studied her smiles, memorized her lies. At work, I accessed my father's financial accounts, something I was never meant to touch. Hidden transfers, offshore accounts. One name repeated, Eleanor Hale, my wife's maiden name. They weren't just sleeping together, they were building something. The old man's warning came back like static. "They're watching you." I started noticing things. Cars parked too long outside. Calls with no sound on the other end. My grandfather wasn't paranoid. He was cautious. He knew, and he'd chosen me. That night, I went to his old study, the one he'd locked after retirement. The key was where it always was, under the third floorboard beneath the rug. Inside, everything smelled of dust and tobacco. Files lined the shelves, decades of secrets disguised as business records. It took me 2 hours to find what I needed, a folder labeled Hale, 1998. Inside, photos. My father. A woman I didn't recognize. A child. maybe 5 years old. The woman's name was written on the back of one photo, Eleanor Hale. I did the math. That child wasn't a stranger. It was my wife. By the time I confronted my grandfather, he was already dying. The machines around him hummed like guilty witnesses. "You knew," I said quietly. He opened his eyes, pale, sunken, still sharp. "I told you they were watching." "My father," I said. She. He nodded, slowly, half-sister. The words hit harder than betrayal. They were decay, slow, irreversible. He reached for my hand. His grip was weak but deliberate. "Your father wanted everything. Power, money, even innocence. I couldn't stop him. But you can." He slipped me another envelope, this one smaller. Inside, evidence, enough to burn him, her too. Why now? Because you're the only one who still knows what truth costs. When he died that night, I didn't cry. I just sat there, staring at the machines as they fell silent one by one. The next morning, I opened the second envelope. Documents, photos, bank transfers, DNA results. Every lie cataloged. Every betrayal quantified. And then one letter, addressed to me. "You were never meant to be part of their plan. Finish it." Dinner again, same table, same laughter, but this time I was calm, detached. My father poured the wine. My wife smiled. I smiled back. The taste of irony filled the room. Halfway through the meal, I placed a small USB drive next to my father's plate. He glanced at it, frowning. "What's this?" he asked. "Something I think you'll enjoy," I said. He inserted it into his laptop, the one he always carried to dinner, because even corruption needs company. The screen came alive. The footage, the files, the photos, and then silence. My wife's fork slipped from her hand. My father's face lost color. The rest of the table froze, confused, afraid, watching power evaporate. "I found the truth," I said, "and I'm done pretending I didn't." My father's lips parted, searching for control. "You don't understand." "I understand enough," I interrupted. My tone was quiet, controlled. "You built your life on lies, and you raised me to find them." He tried to reach for me. I leaned back. "I sent copies," I said, "to the board, to the press, to the people who matter." The words landed like gunshots in the silence. My wife began to cry. Not guilt, fear. I stood, placed my napkin neatly beside my plate, and looked at both of them one last time. "You were right," I said. "I am too much like you. The difference is, I know when to stop." Then I walked out. I didn't go home. I drove until the city became a blur of lights and rain. Checked into a nameless hotel. Sat by the window until dawn. The phone buzzed all night. Calls, messages, threats. I didn't answer. By morning, the news had already broken. My father's empire collapsing. My wife, gone. I opened the final envelope my grandfather gave me. Inside, one line, written in his unsteady hand, "Freedom begins when you stop asking why." I folded the note and set it on the table. Outside, the sun tried to break through the fog, but couldn't. And for the first time in my life, I didn't try to fix it. I didn't need to. I'd already buried the past and everyone who lived in it. Some legacies aren't inherited, they're dismantled.